Suzanne, for inviting me because I've been fortunate enough to speak at several PEN events at Wharton Women and a few other times where there have been a lot of PEN women gathered. And I have to say that I usually find the events more inspiring for me than it is for most of the people who are listening to me, because all of you are really sort of at the beginning of your career, and the hopefulness and the outlook that you have has always been something that I draw upon for my own inspiration. That being said, what I really wanted to talk about today, especially given the times that we're living in, are that dreams do come true. And especially for a lot of you who may have graduated this year, I think that you always have to remember that whatever you visualize for yourself, and whatever you see for yourself, is what you are capable of fulfilling. And so as I talk to you, I really started to think back about when I knew that I wanted to be in the media and in the entertainment business. And I remember being in my backyard one summer afternoon reading a magazine that wasn't really all that popular at the time, but it was a magazine that I loved because I loved pop culture, and it was called People. And I remember reading about somebody who I was madly in love with at the time, because the show Happy Days, which many of you may not even know, was the most popular show, and the Fonzie, Henry Winkler, was like the be-all. Okay, this is the cover of the magazine. And I remember reading it and saying to myself, one day I'm gonna meet Henry Winkler, and one day I'm gonna be able to meet all these people and understand what all of that is about and how it all works. And so, a few years later, my family moved from New York to Florida, and I was aggressive and fortunate enough to get an internship at a local radio station in Miami called 96X. And the irony of that was that, shortly after I got my internship, one day Henry Winkler appears in the control room doing an interview with the DJ. And of course I was like, oh my God, my dream came true. And I realized, okay, this isn't that hard. And so I started to notice that the more I kind of focused on what I was interested in and started to really make little goals for myself, the more I was able to achieve. And so my next goal after working at the radio station was, I love Top 40 radio and this is really fun, but that guy in the newsroom who is reporting on what's happening out in the world, that's what I really want to do. I mean, that's really interesting to me. And so I, as an intern, I just hung out in the newsroom and finally finagled my way into an internship at one of the local television stations, which was also in the news department, and learned as much as I could, was abused beyond belief. The reporters were so cool, they'd leave me on an assignment and said, oh, just figure out how to get home by yourself. And all of those experiences added up to, toughening me up. But ultimately, I literally sat on the doorstep of the news director at a local radio station that reported only news. It's called WINZ in Miami. And I sat on the doorstep until this poor news director would hire me and just give me a job. And he gave me a job on what they call the graveyard shift, which is Saturday from midnight to 6 in the morning. I was actually on the radio. It was really scary, because I had no right being on the radio. I had no right reading the news. I couldn't even pronounce Ayatollah Khomeini. It was just a horrible thing that they let me do it, but it was great for me because I learned so much. I remember my mother couldn't even listen to me on the radio because she was so mortified about what I would do wrong. And after my first night where I mispronounced everything, I came home and my parents were like, it's great that you had a chance to go do that. And it's good, just know that you had that one shot. Nobody was listening to me. It was 3 in the morning on a Saturday, And so, of course, I kept that job for years and got better at it and was able to pronounce people's names. And again, what it taught me is it was a little goal I set for myself, and I was able to achieve it. And so I said to myself, well, this is really great. And I became a reporter in Miami. And, you know, for me personally, it was a time of great challenge, because in Miami, there were a lot of really, you know, difficult things happening at the time. There were a lot of murders because of the Colombians that had kind of infiltrated Miami, and there were a lot of drug wars that were going on, and hijackings that were happening to Cuba. And so after, you know, seeing a lot of death and a lot of tragedy, I was at the ripe age of 19, coming to the realization that I really didn't want to spend my life being a reporter, that this was too hard, that there had to be a better way to make a living, and how could I laugh? And so through a set of circumstances, I was given an opportunity to move to LA, and I gave up being a reporter. I finished college at 19, I was already a reporter for CBS News, and I decided to just give up what I had achieved and come to LA and basically start all over again as a secretary in the secretarial pool at 20th Century Fox.